To call the meeting of the Appeals Board of the Town of Raymond to order. And our first order of business will be the approval of the minutes of the October 27th, 2014 meeting. And that was the last time we had a meeting. Do I hear any objections to the what was conducted at that meeting?
I have no changes.
All right.
Nope, no changes.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
I move to approve.
And a
Second.
second? All in favor? Yes. That part of it is done. Now, the next order of business is number 3, the application of Port Harbor Marine, 1329 Roosevelt Trail, map 050, lot 036, C-zone. Reason, conditional use permit for outdoor sales. Is there anybody here to represent Port Harbor Marine? Would you please state your name, and would you give us a brief description of what you propose to do?
How brief do you want?
Reader's Digest.
Good evening. My name is Rob McSorley, and I work with Sebago Technics, and I'm here representing the owner of Port Harbor Marine. We do have one of the owner's reps here, Mr. Michael Susi. Briefly, the property is 1329 Roosevelt Trail. It directly across the street from their current operations at 1328 Roosevelt Trail. Currently, if you've been by there, they're under renovation, trying to improve their business there. And as part of this overall improvement, what they have done is this property was available and vacant, and they have purchased it with the intent to use it for showing some of their wares and the boats that they have on hand. Of course, in the commercial district, it is a conditional use to allow outdoor sales. So we are before you this evening in that regards. We have come up with a preliminary layout just to give you some idea of what it would look like. If you look at the covered map over there, that highlighted in yellow is the existing structures that are on the site. Those will be demoed or demolished and taken down. And what we plan to do is have 2 accesses, one in and one out, one off the existing Hartley Road or Drive, and looping kind of in through the property and out through an existing gravel driveway, more to the northerly side of the property. As part of this, we'll be taking out the asphalt there where the parking is, and there's another driveway that actually exits out on 302. That's kind of in the southwest corner there along 302. That will all be made green. We haven't done any landscape stuff on the plans, but there will be some highlight landscaping as part of this to make it all pretty.
Thank you. Could I just ask you a few questions that came to my mind?
Yes, sir.
Since this is going to be boats, this will be a seasonal business,
Yes, sir.
and in the winter there will be no boats there. I mean, or boats stored, but
Stored.
but that will be all,
Yeah.
okay? And this is across from Hartley's Marina,
Port Harbor Marine. Yeah.
Port Harbor Marina,
Yep.
okay. And that's all I wanted to know, okay? Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions they wish? Okay. Thank you very much. Please sit down. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of that which he proposes to do? Would you please state your name and go to the board and tell us what your thoughts are?
Louise Lester, 10 Hartley Lane, former owner of this property. I have no problems with what they want to do. I do have a question, though, of whether the MDOT has approved their second entrance, the one that we use for Hartley Lane. They had no problem with years ago when Norway Savings wanted to put a building in where the Mosquito ice cream shop is now. But at that time, Norway didn't pick up on it because MDOT didn't want to keep that curb cut, which is now the gravel driveway. So I don't know if this has any bearing, whether you've investigated with MDOT or not, but certainly that's gonna curb their style for a circular driveway if that's the case.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else here that wishes to speak in favor of it? Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against it? Okay, now at this time I want to turn it over to the members of the board. Do they have any questions that they would like to ask the Port Harbor Marine individuals here?
I have none.
No?
I have none.
Does the Board of Appeals Code Enforcement Officer, does he have know of any legal objections that?
No, I would like to mention that I think Louise's concern about the DOT having knowledge and weighing in on that second entrance and eliminating the entrance to the business now, that they're talking about removing the pavement, would be addressed by the planning board at the planning board staff review or planning board review at the next stage. Their first hurdle was to get through the conditional use, then we'd address the issues at the site and
Okay.
address right-of-way issues, any issues with the DOT. And Rob may want to weigh in on that after I get done speaking. The other thing I would like to mention is the conditional use is for outdoor sales, is an allowed use in the commercial zone, as long as we go through the criteria and standards listed in Article 9, minimum standards A, which they very well laid out. We may want to go through those 10 items before you vote.
Okay. Well, what I will do then, can I ask you this question? If the second entrance is not granted by the highway department, is it still viable for you to show your boats with one entrance?
It certainly is, sir.
So-
We feel that they would be probably in favor, because there will be a driveway that will be deleted that is right next to Hartley Drive or Way. They typically don't like to have those so close, and now they like to have some separation. So what we would probably do is, if they didn't like the second driveway, we'd say, well, we want to get rid of this one and we want to move it over here.
Okay.
And they
So,
typically are.
so that it would be nice to have two driveways, but one driveway you could still function with.
Certainly.
Thank you very much. Now, I will go over these 12, I got 10.
It's 10.
10 from Sebago Technics, so we can have them recorded. Conditional use criteria and standard. The proposed use complies with Article 9 minimum standards A, conditional uses as follows. 1, will not depart from the general purpose and intent of the ordinance, nor from the town's comprehensive plan. The proposed use will provide commercial redevelopment in the appropriate zoning district and keep growth in an intended growth area as stated in the comprehensive plan. 2, will be compatible with permitted uses within the zone as determined by population, density, design, scale, and bulk of any proposed new structures, and intensity of use. The use is compatible with retail uses of the business of the adjacent Port Harbor Marine. The low intensity of the use will be in harmony with the other adjacent commercial uses in the district. 3, will not generate noise, vibrations, fumes, odors, dust, or glare, which is detectable at the lot boundaries, and all aspects of the conditional use will be carried on within the structure. Per the nature of the conditional use, its activities will be outside within the property. The low intensity and proposed nature of the use will eliminate, reduce, or not generate outside of property boundaries noise, vibrations, fumes, odors, dust, or glare from the property. Number 4, will not cause water pollution, sedimentation, erosion, contaminate any water supply, nor reduce the capacity of the land to hold water, so that a dangerous or unhealthy condition may result. The project will be designed so that the site does not cause water pollution, sedimentation, erosion, contaminate any water supply, nor reduce the capacity of the land to hold water. More specifically, the site will be designed with less impervious areas or designed to treat any runoff from the additional impervious areas. 5, will not adversely impact any deer wintering area or other important plant or wildlife habitat or scenic area such as views of Sebago Lake or mountains from the public places. The property is essentially completely cleared and developed. The proposed use will be within the same developed area and not impact any wildlife habitat or scenic areas. 6, will not deny light and air to surrounding properties. The proposed use will not deny light and air to surrounding properties. 7, will not depreciate the economic value of surrounding properties. The property will be maintained as a well-established business for the community and will not depreciate the economic value of surrounding properties. 8, will have sufficient potable water available for its needs. The proposed use will require minimum potable water. 9, will not create a hazard to either pedestrian or vehicular traffic on the roads and sidewalks serving the proposed use as determined by the size and condition of such roads and sidewalks, lighting, drainage, intensity of use by both pedestrians and also vehicles, and the visibility afforded to pedestrians and the operators of motor vehicles. The property will not affect the existing sidewalk adjacent to the site and will make the necessary modifications at the driveway locations. The property will utilize the existing driveway locations and hopes to eliminate the need for duplicate driveways at the south end of the property. Is it intended that the main sales of Port Harbor Marine will occur on the existing business site and customers will be escorted to view the boats on the property by staff? Will not overburden police, fire, and rescue services as determined by response to time. Accessibility to the site of the proposed use and numbers and types of emergency personnel and equipment presently serving the community. The proposed use will not provide burden to police, fire, and rescue services. Response time will be the same for the existing use. Accessibility of the site will be provided in the site design, and no additional equipment will be necessary and based upon the proposed use. And that is entered into the recordings. Thank you.
Chairman Birch, if I could just make a comment, say at the site walk, the only concern I had was a hazard to pedestrians in minimum standards, conditional use number 9, and at the time, it was regarding people crossing 302 to actually go see the boats, and the comment was made that they likely would drive people across the road. So
All right.
They would address it that way.
Is there a crosswalk there?
Currently, there is not a crosswalk at that location.
Okay. Do you consider that a problem? Well, 302 is the second busiest road in the state of Maine. And is it feasible for people to park, drive in where you're gonna have the boats on display and park there and get out and look at them out of their cars and look at the boats you have on display and then get in their cars?
That isn't the plan right now.
Okay, the plan is that where the boats are, they will come to your place of business, Hartley's Marina, and then you'll escort them over, see? All right, well, that seems fair to me.
Thank you.
So you'll watch out for the traffic. Don't let them get,
And
I
just
need
to
to.
add a comment, the
Yes.
planning board will have to look at the safety issue
okay,
as well, and it may mean that they require a crosswalk if they don't feel they're comfortable
Okay.
with vehicular transport.
all right. Well, we have those in the recordings, okay? Linda, do you have anything you would like to say?
I just have a question for Chris. as you and I discussed on the phone, the application has the hardship form was completed. Does that give us any kind of an administrative?
No, what they put
Situation we
was
wanna deal with.
not requested,
Okay,
and they're not requesting any variances, they're simply applying for conditional use, no variances required.
so we can disregard that part of the application?
Yes.
Any?
I'm all set.
Well, then I will make a motion that we grant this application, and I truly hope you go out and sell a lot of boats and move the economy ahead. And I move that we grant the application.
Second?
All in favor? You're granted. Thank you very much. Then we have number 4, any board communications.
We did have the resignation of Mary Pickavet from the board.
Yeah?
I would just like to send out an invitation for anybody in the public that's listening, or anybody that knows anybody that could help us on the appeals board, that we would love to have applicants come in. We're down to 3 board members, which is the minimum for a quorum. So we could really use some help on the appeals board.
I've always had a feeling, I wish Louise would stay for this, that these boards, I think it's hard to get people to serve on boards. I see in the Bridgeton News, they're begging for people. And some years ago, down here at the fire barn, they had a little, it had a meal for the people on the boards, and they went around town and got little door prizes at the end. And the selectmen there, Cliff Hawks was there, and Carlton Edwards, and they told about, this was to show appreciation for doing something for the town. The town should think in terms of doing a little something for the people that put the time in, because all of these boards are non-paying boards, you know. And I think if they would just think in terms of doing maybe a meal in the springtime when it warms up, and for an appreciation of what the members have put in the time for, I think you would get more members. You know, you show them a little appreciation. You don't want it, but
To that, I will absolutely mention that to the town manager and make sure that he has a discussion with the Board of Selectmen.
right. You've got. I see all the time in the Bridge News and the Norway paper that they're just asking for people to run.
Right.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sell a lot of boats.
Right, that's the plan.
Chris, can you provide us with information on how many meetings we've had in the last 2 years?
I don't have that. I think we've probably had less than 6.
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
And we've had a couple of conditional uses, and we've had at least 1, 2, 3 administrative appeals, and I think that's it.
I suspect one of the things that may prevent people from volunteering is they think it's a much more time-consuming responsibility
And it really isn't.
than it has been.
Well-
And I'm getting ready to recruit for my replacement. You were on copy of the email that I sent to,
Yes.
and you know, I will be doing some recruiting, but it would be good if I could have some hard data on how many meetings we had. Six is an estimate I can use. I was thinking it was 3 to 4 per year max. And at
Yeah.
one time, we had a 6 or 7 month stretch
Right.
with no meetings. And my estimate, Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, my estimate is that meetings usually last less than an hour. Site walks, an extensive site walk may be an hour and a half
Maybe.
including commute time.
My-
So it's, let's say in round numbers, it's 2.5, all of you folks that are in the audience, 2.5 hours per meeting, 3 per year. You know, it's less than a 10-hour
It's not long.
per year
Commitment.
well,
commitment. I'll add another maybe 30 to 45 minutes to each meeting for looking at the book to see what our ordinances are with respect to the application. But it's really not
I try to keep my meetings short. I told him to make it
Yeah.
the Reader's Digest version and not,
Has
But,
I haven't seen it, well, I've only been back for 2 days, but I haven't seen an announcement, did not see an announcement when I drove by out on the board. Will they post the fact that we need people desperately?
It's posted on the website, it's been posted in the papers.
Okay.
We have been reaching out in every avenue that we can think of. Danielle is recruiting as hard as she can. I am. I speak to many, many people in the community, and it's tough to get people to volunteer these days. It's not like days past. I don't know. I don't really have a reason or any rationale for it. It's just hard to get people to volunteer.
Well, I'll be here until early November. Who should I speak to about being available beyond the 1st of July after I've not re-enlisted?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, my term is finished in the 1st of July,
I see.
and so I won't sign up again because we're going to be gone for the winter months from now on. If there's a way I can help if needed,
Temporarily,
July through October.
I
I'll
think
be
we'd
happy
just
to
vote
do
you
that.
in for another term, and then you could resign in November.
Got a replacement, someone resign.
No, you know, you'd have the discussion with the board.
Larry's whispering in my ear that I can't resign until I replace myself.
Well, that's all well and good, but we'll see how that turns out.
I think you're exactly right, Alan. I always thought it was a
There was a
long, long
time in the 90s when business was booming,
Yeah.
and we had them a lot, but when we had this so-called business bust, and they reduced the interest rates to 1% and printed the money, they're going to raise the interest rates. Well, they haven't yet, and that means that they're not sure that we are recovering. And the interest rate on treasuries is still 1%, and you don't get recovery at 1%. And you just print money and print money, so we won't have a lot of building around.
Well, I'm kind of skipping ahead to code officer comments,
Mhm.
but we are seeing an uptick in building significantly over the
But
last 2 years.
Is it major on the lakes?
Well, it's mixed. Last year, 2 years ago, we only issued 6 single-family homes on new lots. 6. Last year we did 10. This year I'm up to 17.
All right.
So it is a progressively getting better in the building industry. I have seen, when I first started here in 2008, we had 4 or 5 projects on the lakes that were in the $1 million+ range. Those stopped in 2009. We haven't had any. This year, in the past year and a half, I've issued 6 teardowns and rebuilds in the $1 million+ range. So those are starting, and now I'm seeing I have more coming in this year.
Now, are these so they don't have to come to the appeals board? They have lots that are large
They have
enough.
conforming lots.
They have conforming
They haven't
lots
come
and
in
it's
for
all
any
arranged.
variances or anything like that. I have one that may come in the Bayview Estates area. We've got one that may
Small
come in
lot,
for
yeah.
it's a small lot. It may come in for a setback reduction, but I'm not sure yet. They just purchased the property. That may come in within the next couple of months.
See,
But most people that are tearing down and rebuilding, I'm working with them to, build to the ordinance, and we haven't had a lot of problem.
oh, look, there you go.
Larry, when I talk to people about stepping up and applying for the board, I'm going to be sure they understand that we have a code enforcement officer that explains the ordinances to people, so that we don't have the kind of questions that we used to get occasionally. I think we used to get a lot of people who would come in on the basis of hoping that we would take a sympathetic approach to something that the code enforcement officer didn't clearly state as not being possible. And that, I believe, keeps a lot of things away from us, as compared to what we experienced in years before 2008.
Well,
And
I
that's an
think my
important-
office,
I think that's an important thing.
the staff that we have now, including the planning board staff, my assistant Danielle, myself, we try to be as consistent as possible and be as helpful as possible, and it seems to be working pretty smoothly
Seems to work.
at the moment.
Well, is there any other business?
I've not.
I don't have any, no.
Okay, do I have a motion that we adjourn?
Are you asking for the
A
motion?
motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? All in favor? Aye. The meeting is adjourned.